Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. Thank you for joining us today. I know it's a busy time of the year now that we're wrapping everything up and all of the Black Friday and Christmas shopping is happening. So we're happy to have you here today. My name is Paige. I'm the co-founder and chief growth officer at Prefixbox, an AI-powered product discovery solution that encompasses an AI search engine, AI product recommendation, and an AI agent. And I am joined today by Svetlana, the CEO and founder of Pixyle AI. And we will talk about how AI-enriched product data drives sales, which is very important as we're planning our 2026 year. So Svetlana, will you give us a quick intro and tell us about you and Pixyle?
Yes. Thanks, Paige. Thanks for the intro and for having me on this webinar. I'm Svetlana. I'm the founder and CEO of Pixyle AI. I have a technical background. I did a PhD in artificial intelligence and computer vision back in the 2016, graduated, and afterwards founded Pixyle. My first AI project was actually 2009, so I've been working with AI for almost 16 years. And yeah, what we do at Pixar, we basically help brands and retailers product data that is optimized for selling and that drives more sales.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. I actually didn't know you had this AI background from university and so long. So you've seen the space almost from the beginning to where we are now. And so this is going to be a great perspective that you bring. And I'm excited for all the topics that we will talk about today, ranging from how you can enrich your product data to all the way how you can make your products in your web shop discoverable on the agentic web or with these large language models in general. So let's go ahead and get started. So at this point, I think everyone understands that the way shoppers are behaving online and looking for products on your e-commerce site is changing. Google trained us to distill thoughts into very simplistic keywords, so as few search terms as possible. And now ChatGPT is taking us to the other side of that spectrum, where people are looking for interacting with the computers in conversational ways. They're asking sentences, they're asking questions, things like this, and retailers need to be able to meet these expectations. I think everyone at this point realizes that product search and discovery is an essential part on online shopping, because if shoppers can't find what they're looking for, they can't buy it. So discovery is now a profit center. It's not a nice to have anymore. It's something people need. Shoppers also need it, and it's essential for retailers to increase their online revenue and conversion rate. That being said, that everyone knows it's such an important area of business and it's built on product data. So what data is not in your product catalog, search cannot magically make it up and come up with things that don't exist. But retailers still face a lot of challenges in this area where it's fragmented product data, low quality or inconsistent tagging, because in the past this was quite a manual process. Because of this, search results miss intent, or they're not leveraging an AI search engine, so it can't understand more conceptual queries, which leads to high bounce rates, zero result rates, lower conversion than is possible. Some systems are still quite manual, so retailers are spending a lot of time either fine-tuning their search, setting up synonyms, or working on their product data, because that's foundational to everything on their web shop. What kind of challenges do you see around fragmented product data or product data management in general that retailers are facing?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest challenge is also even mentioned in the question, and that is fragmented product data. We see that data usually at retailers sits in a lot of systems, like their PIM system, ERP system, the storefront, and there are different teams working with the product data. So, for example, the marketing team wants to touch more about the emotional side of the collection, and they have different types of attributes. The e-commerce teams, they need the filters, so they need standard product data. And what we see is that the data sits in a lot of systems, but also in a lot of spreadsheets and being passed around the teams. So at some point it becomes inconsistent, it becomes subjective, and then it becomes in a way incomplete and fragmented across the other systems. So and all this hurts sales, because when the data is incomplete, when it's unstandardized, then the filters don't work properly. You don't have rich filters, but also there might be mistakes in the filters. Then also the product discovery in terms of the search bar. So if you don't have enough product data describing your products, enough attributes, then the search bar won't work properly, and at the end it won't be discovered also outside of your web store. So when we talk about search engine optimization, but also like in the modern way, you mentioned conversational search, that's also for generative engine optimization, and how AI searches find your products, and it all goes back to standardized data. So
Mhm.
it affects also the search for humans when your shoppers are searching for your products. But if your shoppers can find it, it's even harder for the machines to find it, because machines rely on very well structured product data.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's like we're looking at two different worlds, basically. So everything we see online about online shopping is about the future, is conversational, agentic, it's very forward looking. And even these technologies are here now, but what you mentioned, that data sometimes is still stored in Excel spreadsheets and it's being passed around. And so this is like completely opposite. And when you think about this manual process that is the data gets outdated, everyone has a different view. It's like that parable of if you have 10 blindfolded people touch an elephant, you'll get a totally different description of what they're looking at. And so when you have data like this, it's not conducive to this future world that's basically now promised to, oh, get the agentic commerce, conversational commerce. This is where everything is going and what everyone wants. And then you look behind the scenes and it's still such a manual process. So there's a lot of work that could be done here to make retailers' lives easier. And at the end of the day, you're looking to increase your conversion rate and revenue, right? And so you have to look through the whole system, not just, okay, I need an AI agent and that's going to be my 2026 plan and I'll just skyrocket my revenue with that if you don't fix your foundational layer.
Yes, exactly.
And talking about this foundational layer, so, we're thinking about all of these advanced capabilities, but a lot of e-commerce sites still fall short on these basic fundamental principles that shoppers expect as basically table stakes. This is nothing impressive. It's just that if your search can't process these types of queries, your shoppers get let down quickly because it seems obvious that you would be able to process this. So this was a study done by Baymart about their search UX, where they surveyed a lot of retailers, and they found that 44% still don't support non-product queries, so informational kinds of things. When you're looking for content search, like what's the return policy? How can I track my shipping, for example? This is almost like 2020, 2018 basics, and almost half of retailers still can't support this. So when you're thinking about how are you going to support conversational commerce when you don't even have the basic use cases covered, it's a big jump to go from from one spot to the next, no? And 38% of e-commerce search engines still return incomplete or irrelevant results for simple attribute searches. So if you look for a brand and then the product, this Bose headphones, and only a third of e-commerce sites could support subjective searches like a cheap laptop, a high quality shirt. So something where you're describing the product, where what is cheap for one person is not the same for another. So how can you process things like that? So what should retailers be doing in order to support conversational commerce and even get the basics covered and get themselves ready for the next level of what's coming?
Yes. Well, Paige, I think you also mentioned really a good term saying you need to first get the fundamentals right. So that means that you need, for your product detail page, you need the basics. You need a good name for the product, and then you also need good description for the product, which will contain all the attributes describing the product, and it goes into more detail. So this is the basics. And once you get that, and I think this is what most of the retailers currently have, the next step is really optimizing it for conversational. So it's not enough only to have a good product name or a product title, but it really needs to be descriptive. You need to say that it's, a black suit, breathable for office work. And then also in the description, when you write the description, it needs to be written in a way that the AI agents or AI searches can really understand what this product is about. So it should not only be about, okay, these are the basic attributes, but you also need to mention the styles, occasion. You need to mention the use cases of where this product can be used and how it can be used. So in terms of technology, but also in terms of any type of product in fashion. And then I would say, because we see that there's a lot of the conversational commerce in a way is question answering. It's also very important to, in a way, write a description and even add questions and answers in the description, or a separate FAQ section on the product detail page where you can actually answer questions in terms of use cases. Like if somebody goes and search on ChatGPT, I need a nice breathable t-shirt for my son's soccer game. If you don't add this, that it can be used for a soccer game or for training, if you don't mention the use cases, then it won't be easy for the product to be found. And what we see is that there's a big shift coming. So you mentioned agentic commerce. A few weeks ago, ChatGPT together with Stripe, they released the agentic commerce protocol. So that means that it's becoming a standard way of how merchandisers and retailers should be thinking about the data, because now ChatGPT not only can give you recommendations and a link, but you can buy directly from the conversational searches. And that means that in order for retailers to be able to sell and be shown on ChatGPT, then they need a really good product data feed that needs to be sent to the AI searches. And this is becoming a standard. Currently, it's available for eBay shoppers in US, but also they have a partnership with Shopify. So basically, everybody who has a Shopify platform can be able to directly sell their products within ChatGPT. And for this, the product feed in the agentic commerce protocol is the most important thing for your data to be found. And for descriptions, for example, they have 5,000 characters. So that means that for retailers now, there's a big possibility to really describe the product, not for humans, but for AI searches and the AI machines to find it. In terms of, okay, this, as I mentioned, the use case, but also add FAQs in the product description itself.
It's like we're talking about this world that's coming with this agentic and conversational commerce, but it's already here. So these brands who are starting or have already made moves to make their products discoverable to the agentic web and also mimicking that experience on their e-commerce site are going to grow and basically outpace their competition very, very quickly, because we see how fast this technology is getting adopted from the end user side, that it's not something that's coming in 1, 2, 3 years where you have a lot of time to get ready and make your plan and start working towards it. If you haven't already started working on these areas of making your products discoverable, facilitating conversational experiences or agentic experiences on your site, you will very quickly become outdated because you won't match the experiences of either your competitors or also ChatGPT, which was never your competitor before. But if that's a way that people are discovering products and going through the buying journey, even if it's just another avenue, you can do marketing on social media, you can do marketing on via ads, you can do it email marketing, etc. This is another avenue of which you need to address in your marketing and sales strategy.
Yeah, exactly. I would say ChatGPT indeed is a new channel in which you need to win because it's becoming very popular channel.
Yeah.
Well, when you think about Google introduced AI mode, and what we heard is that by the end of next year, Google will remove all list searches. So basically, it will
Oh,
only
really?
stay, yeah, it will only stay AI mode. So that means it's gonna be all about AI searches. And as you said, you need to start now because yeah, it is a process. Especially if you're a larger retailer, you need to adapt the processes, you need to adapt the teams, how things should be written, but also adapt AI in your processes as well. If you want to be fast, if you want to be efficient, because the technology is changing super fast, and if you just keep on doing things manually, then you won't be that fast.
Yeah, I can imagine from what you're saying, create these rich, robust product descriptions. Some of these retailers have 10 million products in the product catalog. So there's no way you can manually create 5,000 characters of 10 million products. This is an absolutely overwhelming project to take on. So you really need to leverage the latest technology in order to facilitate this advancement and keep pace with other people who are in the space. And if you're one of the retailers here, it's almost, a third to almost half of the retailers who can't even support basic search queries, and you're already thinking about how are you going to support advanced queries. That's a whole other level that you need to get ready for. So Svetlana, do you want to
I
continue and
see.
tell us a little bit more about these foundations? And then I see we have a question in the chat that we can also address afterwards.
Yeah, well, I think this slide is just a nice summary of what I just said. That is like what retailers need. Well, I can just quickly repeat it and then we can answer the question. Well, the first thing is strong data foundations. So that is having accurate categorization of your product and have really clear category names that are understandable. And then also, I would say high quality product names and descriptions for online selling, which is the basics, as I said. And I think the attributes, when we talk about foundation, the attributes really needs to be standardized. Because what we've seen sometimes that navy is written as midnight blue. This is, although it sounds poetic and really nice from a marketing standpoint, this is more difficult for the AI machines to basically recognize. If it's navy, then they can connect it to a better search query. So I would say really good standard attribution, categorization, clear title and description is the foundation. And then I would say the next step is really optimize your product data for discovery. That means that, as I mentioned, frequently asked questions. So add these to the description. Uh, there is enough space on the product detail page to describe your product in more detail, not just in terms of functionalities, but also in terms of use cases and in terms of where this product can be worn and how it can be used. I would also say is add, in a way, trendy keywords, or what we call in our discovery engine is optimized sites search tags. That means make sure that whatever your shoppers or your target audience is using as keywords as trends, and we know trends pop up on TikTok every day, like brand summer or a spaghetti top, and all these trends. If you don't have these keywords associated with your product data, then you won't pop up on searches. And then I would say is not just have these keywords, but also optimize your title and description for SEO and GEO. So that means also include these keywords in your title, in descriptions, what is popular, what is search trendy, and refresh this all the time. What we've also seen is that in order to optimize your product data for discovery, it's not enough to have data only on the product level, but you also need data on the image level. For example, alt text, because we know that the AI searches also use images. They scan your product feed, but they also look at your images. And the more helpful you are with alt text for the images, explaining exactly what you want the AI machines to read for that product, it also helps for discovery. So I would say also optimize your alt text and add a view short types for your image for your imagery on the product. Enhance your imagery, so add short videos as well. This is now very easily to be generated with AI, different viewpoints and so on. So I would say have the foundation right, but as a next step, also think about optimizing your product data for discovery and for the agentic commerce and conversational commerce.
This is super concrete, Svetlana. It's a gold mine. Thank you so much. This is a lot that retailers can be doing to already take these steps and start improving. And so we have this question from Blaine in the chat, and I think it's more directed to you, but he said, is this data problem also based on legacy systems? Can retailers who have gone down the route of custom configurations with PIM and ERP providers now be hurting?
Yes, that's a great question, and I would say it's both yes and no. So I think like what we see with retailers is that almost everybody have their custom config or custom taxonomy set in their PIM ERP system, which is fine. And what we see now, and what we do usually when we start working with retailers, we adapt how AI is generating data according to their PIM and ERP system, because this is very difficult to change. This is really engraved, and there's historic data around this configuration and around this taxonomy. So I think the good thing is that the AI can adopt to this ERP system, and then they can start more easily. Now the next step would be is not only rely on this data. As I said, the foundations there might be there, and AI can start generating the data as the retailer's taxonomy, but that's just not enough. So I think the next step would be to enrich it. What are the new keywords? What are the needs to be written? What needs to go into the title and description, and also what kind of frequently asked questions should go there? What are the most common searches? So I say the custom configs can stay, but the next step is, okay, let's find a way to enrich the data, and how can we add this enriched data in the PIM ERP system in the most efficient way, so they can also help with conversational commerce. And usually this data can go into PIM ERP, but it doesn't have to change so much there. I would say most of our clients, they add the data in the PIM, which is directly connected with the storefront. Because the most important thing is that all the data that we enrich for product discovery goes on your web store. In the backend system, I think it's good to have. Of course, the connection between the PIM and the web store is very important. So there are fields in the PIM system where all these data points can be added. But the most important is that you have this on the storefront, so that the AI engines can read it and go through it. And there is a specific format. I think we will talk about a bit later. The JSON format that you should add to your product detail page with specific data points. I hope I answered your question, Blaine. Thanks for it.
Okay, so I think that was a robust answer, and we'll see if we have any more chats come in. So we've talked about how product data and having this strong foundation basically is key to increasing your revenue, because then the search engine can get all of the information it needs to return relevant results, and it's used as a revenue driver. So what else is coming in search is automated query understanding and this conversational understanding. So if someone looks for a query like, I'm looking for running shoes, recommend me something, more in a way that they would interact with ChatGPT, for example, your website should also be able to process it, because if not, this is the way that people are learning to search now. So you need to be able to process this. And that's also why we're talking so much about this product data, because that's the foundation to the next layer on top, if you think about it like building blocks of search. And so search is also changing, because now there's AI-driven ranking decisions. A lot of the search and manual labor there about setting up synonyms and merchandising rules, et cetera, that is now also getting automated with AI. So the manual effort that was needed to optimize your search before is now becoming eradicated based on these AI systems, and personalization at scale is also coming. So we've talked about personalization for, I don't know how long, for at least 3-5 years, that personalization is the key in e-commerce. But now actually what's possible to do with personalization is taking everything to the next level, where you can really get this granular AI-powered personalization one-to-one through a search experience and through an agentic experience. So it's like a fully customized shopping journey that's personalized to you, regardless of your entry point, whether it's if the web store has an agent or the search or product recommendation, et cetera. And we're moving away from this manual rule-based to leveraging these AI systems, which provide smarter and better and usually more results than this manual processes before. So all of that to say, that's also coming from the product data and the optimizations that you make there. So Svetlana, what results have you seen retailers achieve in terms of conversion uplift or revenue uplift after optimizing their product data?
Yes, this is a great question because it's directly connected with the impact that the product data can have. What we've seen, the first thing is improving the discovery. So I would mention a few use cases, but with a large marketplace that we worked from UK, the first thing that they saw is that discovery improved. So I think the first impact was on the no search pages. For example, when somebody's searching for something and then they had like empty search pages because and they had a lot of these empty search pages because they were missing a lot of long tail keywords for the searches. So the first thing we saw is that this number of empty search pages dramatically decreased almost to zero. So basically, with more product data, the discovery improves. And another metric that we've seen improve with discovery is added to back from search. So this number increased around 12% because in a way, when discovery is better, you find your products and you add them to cart better. And then when discovery improves, of course, there is impact on conversion and sales. So basically, what we've seen is that the conversion increased between 5 and 8% directly because of better product data, which is a great number. And then, for example, there was a retailer in UK, Thrifted. Not only did they improve their conversion on their own site, but for example, they were also selling on different marketplaces
Hmm.
like eBay. And what they saw is when they enriched the data, their sales on eBay jumped from 2.5% from the total revenue to 20% to the total revenue,
Oh.
which is which is an amazing number. Then what we saw is Depop, which is another
Hmm.
which is a marketplace for second-hand fashion. Their conversion increased by 5%, and the sell-through rate increased 18%. Which means that as the items they were coming from their listers, they were growing. Well, they were selling more quickly,
Hmm.
which is amazing numbers. And of course, all this is the goal. But what we also see is that by using AI enrichment, the efficiency of the teams skyrockets. For example, another retailer in Amsterdam, Atrium, they completely automated their process of data standardization, attribution, and enrichment. And basically, their efficiency, I would say, is 100% taken by the machines. What took them a month before to standardize the data, as it was coming from different brands, now it actually doesn't take them any time because it's all being done by Pixel AI platform. So uh, I think the most important benefit, as I said at the beginning, is the improving the discovery and then conversion and sales. And then the second benefit that is directly felt is the boost in efficiency.
Yeah, those are great results. And you can see with this that optimizing the product data, again, like we said earlier in the webinar, it's not a nice to have. Everyone's looking, how can you increase conversion rate and how can you increase revenue? So this is a fundamental way to do that. And I can imagine the main blocker of why product catalogs are not more robust than they currently are is because of the capacity and the manual labor that is required to actually do that yourself. So by being able to automate that and basically take out that blocker, that's a huge benefit because e-commerce teams, they have so many projects that they're working on. So, how do you prioritize which will have the biggest impact? How much of my time does it take? What actual capacity do we have? How many projects can we work on the same time?
Yeah.
These are all important questions.
Yeah, definitely. And what we see is now there's a lot of manual work still being done. But with AI helping on this, in a way, the copywriters and the e-commerce team, they move from being the primary generation of the data to just fact checking
Hmm.
of what AI has generated. So this boosts efficiency tremendously. And I did mention the sales uplift at Thrifted, but also there was the very huge efficiency uplift where in a way they double their time of how much they're listing online. So basically the team cut the time on half when they need to list products online by automating it with AI.
I think that's the best way we can think about using AI is how can teams leverage AI to increase their efficiency? Not, I don't think we're at the point yet where you can just buy some AI software and it will replace what you're doing. You still need this human in the loop where you should look for use cases where AI will streamline your workflows and your efficiency. And this is a great use case for that.
Yep.
Well, that's a good segue into what we're talking about here. So, Svetlana, I'll hand it over to you to talk more about how AI can automate the product enrichment.
Yes, well, definitely. Well, AI is now at a phase that actually can understand very well the products in the images, and then it can describe them well. And that it all starts with the product attribution. So, what kind of product is in the image? What is the category? What is the color? The fit, the style, occasion, long sleeves, short sleeves. So all these data can be automatically inputted. So this is the first thing, generating attributes. As I said, a lot of this is still happening in the industry manually, but the good thing now is that there is a big shift, and we see retailers being very, very open into automating this process. Because when we talk about what is the work that AI should take over, it should definitely be the manual, repetitive work of inputting data. So the first step is generating all these attributes and describing the product into very detail. And then the second would be is really creating these the titles, creating the description. I also mentioned the FAQs, also trendy keywords. So all of these can be now taken and generated by the AI. And then the teams can move from being the primary workers for creating the data to generating to actually reviewing and quick checking of the data, which obviously improves efficiency. And I will go back to the use case before when I mentioned Thrifted, that they actually doubled the time. Sorry, they cut the time it took them to list product online by half, but at the same time they got 3 times more data points. So as you mentioned, Paige, is that most of the problems that are happening with data are because there's actually limited time of the teams inputting the data, because there's so much you can do in few hours, and that's why all the data that goes out there, it's incomplete, it's really basic, it's not enriched, and it's not optimized for now for conversational search or for better search. And AI can really do this in seconds and generate all this product data. And we talked about personalization in terms of shopper personalization, but I also really want to mention personalization in terms of brand tone of voice and brand and how brands want to present their products. So this is something that we put a lot of effort in to Pixel, because it's not only about generating the data, but generating the data in a structured format as the brands need it. And this comes back to the question of custom configs in their PIM ERP system, because a different women's wear brand can have different types of attribution and different types of categories, and all of this is really, really important in order that for the AI to generate it as the brand wanted for the attribution, but that goes also to the descriptions. How it is that the brand want to present their product? What is the tone of voice? Are you selling to Gen Z and you want to use more slang? And how your brand want to be, or are you a bit more sophisticated brand? So all of this is possible, and of course this is something that we put a lot of attention to, because this is really important for different brands and retailers. How is the product written?
So on one hand, there's a lot of product data that should be added, but on the other hand, AI can automate a lot of it. So it's not such an overwhelming task as it may seem on first glance, and that, oh, this will be a 5-year project, never ending, and by the time we finish, we have all new stock. So it's the cycle, but it's something that it's actually manageable for retailers to take this project under, which will then facilitate a lot more sales conversion. And it's a good point also you mentioned about this brand tone of voice personalization, and that's one differentiation if you think about ChatGPT and this generative engine optimization as a way to discover products. And I teach a digital marketing and sales class in a master's program, and one of the topics we were talking about how that's basically another marketing channel, and why would you still use search engines or search engine advertising if large language models and these generative engines exist? And one of them is control over your brand voice, because, for example, if you ask ChatGPT, it will return what it returns in its own tone or the tone that you have prompted it. But retailers who use Google or advertise in that way, or on social media, etc., you have much more control over what you're saying there, because you input, if you think about Google ads, your headlines and your text, and that has your brand voice. So this is really beside the point of this webinar, but it's an interesting topic to think about when you think about all of these different channels where you can do sales and marketing and product discovery that are not just on your website, where you have the tight control over all of that, but how other people basically ingest and summarize your brand into an output. So
Yeah.
an important thing. Oh, I see we have another question. How are fashion brands positioned in AI literacy for their copywriters and product marketers? Are they finding time for education? You have any
Yeah.
insight on that, Svetlana, from what you from the companies you work with?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. So I think I would say from the brands and retailers that we're working with and that we're talking with, there's still shift happening. So I would not say that they're there and there's a lot of education in AI and there are courses for the copywriters how they can use AI. So this is all very new for everyone, and I think sometimes we see a bit of pushback from the copywriters. Yeah, but we tried it on ChatGPT, is not really giving the results as we wanted, and there is a big pushback. But of course, we are talking with different levels of of teams with brands and retailers, and what we see is that now there's a big shift from the board coming for AI to be implemented, which is a great shift because then it forces all the teams to start thinking about it, whether the copywriters can really make AI work by themselves in terms of how AI educated are they. I think that's very difficult because for example, all of a sudden they need to become prompt engineers. And in order to become prompt engineer, and you've been a copywriter all your life, you need to have some engineering background. You need to, in a way, get to know how AI thinks, how AI works, how it should be, which is a completely new shift of your position. So, and this is basically where we come in as Pixel, because what we do is we provide a platform where copywriters can easily use AI, and there's a lot of prompt engineering in the background. There's different AI models in the background, and the only thing they need to do is just explain, how their brand tone of voice would be. Then when they interact with the platform, when they change a word or they change a bit the description, the AI learns in the back. So I would say not everybody can become prompt engineers, but there are more and more platforms and tools coming out there, which makes it easy for, I would say, not engineering or not technical teams to easily use the platforms for their own work. We also see a lot of marketing tools popping up where you can very easily describe what kind of visuals you want and have images generated without having to do that in ChatGPT. But there's a nicer platform where actually does it specifically for different teams or going very niche. So yeah, I would say as AI is becoming conversational for we talked about conversational. I think in terms of B2B work and all the work that is done behind the shopping for merchandisers, for marketing teams, there are these popular SaaS platforms that are also at some point will become conversational and will make it super easy. There will be a specific merchandiser platform where they can very easily use AI to see the trends and the sales and all of it. There will be a very easy, product data enrichment platform for copywriters to use. So there will be different types of specialized tools for different teams to use.
I know I said this before, but building on what you mentioned, we're still almost in these two worlds. So we're talking about the future of commerce and how it's here and how it's changing, but we're in the Wild West basically because there are no exactly defined best practices. There's no this tool is the one for this, for image generation and things like that, or how do you drive the adoption in your e-commerce marketing team? There's no set playbooks yet. Everything is kind of coming together as we walk the path. So I think really, like as you mentioned, it differs by company, what your initiatives are, how you invest in this, what types of AI tool budget you have allocated for the different departments and how you bring them in. Because there's no set path that, first do like this. We're just figuring out as we go along. And it's also
Yeah.
overwhelming because every day it seems like there is a new tool and this is the new tool and then tomorrow is a whole other one. And so there's a lot of noise basically you have to synthesize now and really understand your internal use case of what exactly are you trying to accomplish with AI and what do you want it to do? Otherwise, you can invest in an endless amount of tools. that probably would never be used or never fully adopted, and then it's just throwing money out the window. So being very clear on what you want to accomplish with a specific tool or what challenge you have that you're trying to solve with AI is very important.
Yeah. And yeah, there was a report that came out from MIT a few months ago where they said that actually AI is spending a lot of times of the of teams and is not really making them more efficient and productive, which was a very big kind of controversial thing to see coming from a research, because everybody was thinking that AI is helping with efficiency. But the real truth is, until you get the AI to give you the results that you want, in the structure that you want, in the tone of voice, in the format that you need to spend a lot of time on ChatGPT. And that's why these specialized tools are super important, because, as I said, not all the teams or copywriters will have great AI literacy, or they will be prompt engineers. So until they get there, it will take time. So that's why these specialized tools are super, super important.
Yeah, absolutely. And to build on these specialized tools, let's talk about this future stack basically of product discovery and what it would look like in the e-commerce sector. But it's bringing together image understanding, which also you mentioned, not just for product enrichment, but also for product search, where you can take a picture of whatever someone's wearing on the on the street or their purse and upload it, and then find visually similar or exact match products. Also AI-powered product enrichment and AI-powered product search, because we also, as you mentioned, have seen from your side also these conversion rate increases. We have run some A/B tests where we compared our keyword matching-based search engine, which you could consider the older technology, against our vector search engine, which is an AI search engine. And in an A/B test, the AI search generated 45% more revenue. So these technologies have a huge difference in output and performance for retailers. And I think also it's quite difficult to decide what tools to use, because AI is everywhere. It is a marketing label, and every company that sells software or tech says AI, 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 but they don't really explain what it is behind it. And so it can also be very difficult to navigate this landscape in terms of really what is the AI in your software. Is it just one small feature? Is it powering everything that is very critical? So to be able to decipher what actually AI means, and is it true or is it just a marketing message, is a new challenge that's coming today. Because obviously, if you can find a tool that can back up what they say they do, it can beat these manual workflows. So you don't have to spend so much of your time doing X, Y, and Z, whether it's on the product side or on the search side, but you can benefit from this technology and have a proper closed loop learning system where you have enriched product data that powers your search, that then you can feed into your product recommendation, into personalization, back into product data, etc. And your site will get better incrementally. Your sales will keep improving without involving so much or requiring so much work from your team. So if you had to summarize from your side, Svetlana, where do you see AI making the biggest impact for retailers?
Well, I think you already mentioned part of it. I think the biggest impact will be in the way the discovery is happening and decision making in terms of shopping. So I think shopping would be one of the biggest changes to get into commerce. So currently we are in the era of conversational shopping, where we are asking ChatGPT or Google, get reading through the answers there. But the next shift would also be commerce, where, as I mentioned, the agentic commerce protocol came out with a collaboration between Stripe, Shopify, and ChatGPT. So not only that you can ask the AI recommendation, but it can also take an action upon you, and then make the purchase. And basically, this will be a very big shift. So it will be like, in a way, in the next 2 years, maybe sales agent. At some point, it will be fully agentic commerce, where agents will be shopping, different agents will be talking in between, but
Mhm.
also each and every one of us will have their personal shopping assistant. So you also mentioned personalization. I think personalization is also where it's going to have a very, very big impact, where it will know not everything that you bought, what is in your closet, and then give you recommendations on what to buy with what you have. And then, you just say yes or no, and then it does the whole for you. Um, and the problem, this is the shift where retailers should be thinking about optimizing their web stores for humans. They need to start optimizing it for AI machines and AI agents to very easily discover their products. So yeah, and this shift is already happening. We
Yeah.
see it with with the last update of ChatGPT, where you will buy directly from there. I think there will also be, of course, impact behind. So in terms merchandising team, trend forecasting, inventory management. So I think AI will be providing better reports, better forecasting reports, so better decisions to be made, and basically less waste and less samples will be produced, which is great. I think there will also be shifting in how marketing is done. So marketing for retailers and teams working there, they will be much easier to generate imagery or videos, so to create campaigns, but they also need to think about the shift of the channels. Where should they be their products and their ads go to? So and of course, chatbots and virtual assistants. Like if you want to buy something, and then you can directly talk with a virtual assistant from the brand or the retailer. Yeah, I think there will be a big shift, not only on the storefront, but every layer of retail operation,
Mm-hmm.
backend logistics to front-end customer experiences.
So, in summary, everything is going to change, and AI will impact every area of e-commerce, which is exciting. And it will be interesting to see how this develops and what the new world looks like. And think we touched on a lot of this, from this image understanding to product enrichment to search and AI agents, and not just making your products discoverable to your customers on your site, but equally, if not more important, is making them discoverable to the agentic web, because that's going to become a new channel of product discovery that will lead to a lot of sales if you can leverage it correctly and not fall behind in that area. And so how has
Exactly.
this rise of
And
agentic
just as
commerce, do you think? Oh, go ahead.
so there was a bit break of the internet, but yeah. So the question is, how has the rise of agentic commerce impacted how retailers approach their product data for impact, for example, to facilitate geo? Maybe if you go to the next slide, I put there some key points, and we can see them, and I'll go through them directly. So basically, this is a very short summary of how retailers should structure product data for. I think first point is to structure the product data very clearly. So standardized attributes for category, color, material, fit, occasion, price, of course, and then avoid free text and inconsistencies. So basically, you need to have standard, clear for the AI machines to go through it and be able to. Then to have very good and elaborate product titles and descriptions, where you can describe the product in its detail, but also describe and optimize for use cases. So where this product can be worn, how it can be used, and occasion, style, and body fit, and make sure that it matches conversational queries. So I will again mention, describe your product, but also add frequently asked questions where you can directly address and match with the questions that are coming on search. And at the end, all this data should be really nicely structured and added in a schema file, or what we call JSON LD, that should be added to your product detail page. and the retail page. This is where all the information for the products are, and this is a format that you should add. For example, it's usually added in the beginning body of the page. And here, the most important thing is to have attributes. The first thing is what the category is, the name, very good description, what the brand should be, what the brand is, and so on. But also attributes like color, material, size, pattern, fit, and then it's to have the offer, like the pricing and the price currency and the availability. And what is very, very important is if you have reviews on the website, make sure that you also add those, because what we know is that AI searches like ChatGPT really rely on review rating when they are providing recommendations. And I would go back now and say all the data that you feed in, make sure that it's standard. You can connect it with your PIM system so that it's also updating, so that you don't have to do it manually, so that's scalable. Yeah, but make sure that it's is standard and very clear, and written in a structured way in the JSON LD for the AI machines to read it.
This is great, Svetlana. It's super concrete. Thank you for sharing all of this, because I know we see so much optimize your product data for ChatGPT, make sure you're on ChatGPT, da da da, but no one says exactly what that looks like and what exactly you need to be doing. They just say, make sure you're there, which is, the end case. Okay, how do I get there? So this is a very clear and concrete tasks and steps that people can take to make sure that they're discoverable there. And I think this is our last slide for closing here, talking about what's next. I guess we've talked about it a lot, but just to kind of recap what we've said here, what's next in AI-driven retail discovery? It's these autonomous catalogs that self-enrich by leveraging AI systems, multimodal search. So we didn't talk too much about voice, but voice is probably up and coming. So, we were talking about the AI agents or agent-to-agent commerce. So in a way where you can talk to your phone instead of doing everything text-based. But now voice will come up because that's a more hands-free and more natural way of asking these questions, which we're now beginning to facilitate on ChatGPT in these conversations, and even agents that can speak back to you, not in a text format, but in a voice format. So you can actually have a sentient conversation that feels as if you're speaking to a person, even though it's an AI agent. AI that can predict shopper needs before they're expressed, kind of what you mentioned here about the personal assistant that knows what's in your basket, what's in your closet, what else you might need to bring the outfit together, for example, or for a specific use case for an event. And the rise of these personalized discovery ecosystems, I guess, is what we could kind of call that. And retailers who embrace all of these new tools and trends and effectively leverage them today, not just in analysis paralysis or just buy whatever is out there, but actually have a defined use case, will see major gains compared to their competition in the marketplace. So do you have any closing thoughts you want to add here, maybe about voice search or any other important topics that we didn't cover today?
Yeah, I think you summarized it very well. Well, in terms of voice search, I think it really aligns with what we talked about, conversational commerce. So now we are basically typing in and asking questions, but yeah, voice is there. So yeah, I would just repeat, write your product data in a more conversational way. So whether, it's coming, the query is coming by voice or textual search, it is conversational, and you need to be able to answer those questions very well with your products. So definitely I see maybe the shift is not happening that so much with us, but I see my daughter not typing at all. She's just sending voice messages to her friends. And yeah, and I feel that they will just continue when she's old enough to start shopping. She will just be using voice search.
You can already see the future before it's here. You know what's coming based on her behavior, right?
Yes.
That's great. Svetlana, thank you so much for this webinar today and sharing so much information. It was really valuable and very actionable, and I appreciate it, and I'm sure our audience also does. So thank you for tuning in, and Svetlana, thank you for joining and sharing so much information with us.
Yes, it was my pleasure. Thanks for having me, and thanks to Blaine for asking the questions.
They were good questions. Okay,
Yeah.
so everyone, thank you so much, and have a good rest of the day, and see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.